Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Um, that's the state capital of Florida, and that big building in the back too. There you go. And because what I need to talk about today is something that's happening in Florida, but has national implications because the governor of Florida is running for president, and that's why it has national implications. I am a big believer, and if you followed me or Paul for any length of time, we'll tell you that it is the local politics that matter. It is your local city council, county commission, mayoral, city, state representatives, state senators, governors. That stuff matters because it builds a sort of a prophylactic um, barrier against the madness of Washington, D.C. But sometimes the worlds do collide, and this is one of those times. You might have heard that the state of Florida is doing something in education. You probably heard that. And a lot of times you hear a lot about the state of Florida doing this or that. Always, because the state of Florida is always doing this or that. Especially now, especially because of what, COVID allowed a lot of things to happen, a lot of things to come out in the open, and for there to be a lot of questions being asked. And with those questions being asked, there was the other question was, well, why don't we change this? Why don't we fix it? Because this is obviously not right. And one of the things that we've been blessed to do, that this guy here, Governor DeSantis, is okay with that, okay with, um, you know, poking a balloon in the wokeness, even though I don't really like that term because it really trivializes what's really happening. And I really don't like that. I mean, this isn't just some woke, get woke. And all get woke really means is pay attention. These things are happening, and so you have to pay attention. For those of you who don't know where that phrase came from, or what it means, all it really meant was that you need to start paying attention to what's happening around you. That's it. All it means. Now, like a lot of things, it's been co-opted to mean this or that, depending on what people needed it to mean at the time, especially the left. The right does that too. So when we start talking about pushing back a woke agenda, I wish there was a better term for it. But there are some things that we need to push back, whether they are, quote, woke or not, by the governor's definition. And one of them was is this idea that there are people who are of the mind that there are people who are in this world right now that are inherently racist, and that white people are inherently racist. I mean, inherently. When I say inherently, you wake up, I'm holding the child, this child is a racist. It's in their DNA, according to some people. So you have that going on. But recently, Vice President Kamala Harris visited Florida to claim, and falsely, that the state's new curriculum on African American history paints slavery as beneficial. One more time. I am impressed that of the left's ability to just say anything. Doesn't matter if it's true. Doesn't matter if it makes any sense. It doesn't matter. It just say any old damn thing. Because this curriculum, this new African American curriculum, because there needed to be a new African American curriculum in Florida. We've had one for a long time here in Florida. Needed to happen because of the rejection of the College Board, the AP African American history curriculum. that was just riffed with what do they call it? CPT or whatever, CRT. There you go. Critical race theory. It was just riffed with it. It was a study in the 1619 protocol, right? And the governor said, and people in the governor's office and the Department of Education of Florida said, and the Department of Education of Florida said no. It wasn't just the governor. This picture of the governor sitting sitting in his throne or sitting on a rocking chair with a big hat on, having a cup of iced tea, like Boss Hog in Florida, going, nah, not no, that's too good for the Negroes. That's first of all not happening. Not happening. Not at all. So now she comes in and starts banging her fist and waving her little fingers um, to take out of context something that is a 216 page long, extremely thorough curriculum. Takes a single sentence. And this is the thing. This is the thing that you would take a single sentence out of context, out of 216 pages of curriculum. And now they're painting this entire thing like it's some throwback to 1864. It was a good thing for the Negroes. Slavery was a good thing for the Negroes. I'm sorry, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for those of us who care anything about, I don't know, truth, nuance, context, reality. Now, I'm going to play a clip here, if I remember. Please, somebody write this down, so I remember to, when I'm editing this, to put the clip in, from Dr. Allen, from Florida's African American History Work Group. Basically takes the vice president to task on the Jesse Waters show for her dishonesty about the state's new curriculum, saying Kamala Harris has retailed a lie.
I would say, amid all of this, that do you think the wording should be amended?
I do not. No, I think it would be effectively to erase people's history. And let me illustrate that for you, if I may. My great grandfather is someone who came from the islands and who was enslaved here, and whose own resourcefulness, resilience, and adaptiveness was certainly instrumental in producing for his family, his descendants, the ability to prosper here in this country. Hence, from his resourcefulness, we derive benefits. I think anyone who would try to change that language would be denying that great grandfather Sidious made any contribution. I certainly could not endorse doing that.
There you go. And I think that that's important. Actually, we're going to play a couple of clips from this, because I think this is extremely important, because a lot of times when this kind of stuff happens in the media, there isn't, definitely, from what I told you yesterday, the Republicans do what? Shoot their wounded and eat their young. And if there is an inkling that somehow that Governor DeSantis is wounded by this, Republicans will show up. Chris Christie will show up. Mitt Romney will show up. With this circular firing squad, unless there are people who are going to say, stop, wait, stop, no. This is what's actually happening. Now, sometimes I feel like Horton, in Horton Hears a Who, screaming, waiting, for one more yop on the dust speck, while Republicans are dancing around the pot going, boil that dust speck, boil that dust speck. I mean, for one more sound, I feel like I'm that one more sound that it'll break through and people will hear. Fight Back Media will will cause people to hear because of you sharing this video, sharing the morning report, going to our at RBM show Twitter page, Fight Back Media on Instagram and on TikTok, and just telling people that what's being said is out of context and not true about all of this. About all of this. So we're going to go ahead and play some of these clips. But before we do that, I want to read something from what they wrote. It says this: every standard, benchmark, and benchmark clarification was developed using a methodical process within our work groups. So it wasn't that Ron DeSantis was sitting there, you know, again, back in his rocking chair on the porch, drinking some sweet tea, wrote all this stuff down. These were educators in Florida in work groups, different groups. Our work group began in February and worked through May to ensure the new standards provide a comprehensive and rigorous instruction on African American history. We proudly stand behind these African American history standards, they said. There have been questions raised about the language within a benchmark clarification and standard and is SS 68.AA.2.3, which says instruction includes how slaves develop skills and in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. That's the thing. So some slaves who worked as blacksmiths or any other function on the plantation learned a skill and was able to, after the Emancipation Proclamation, was able to take that skill and build a life later. The intent of the particular benchmark clarification is to show that some slaves developed highly specialized trades from which they benefited. This is factual and well documented. Some examples included blacksmiths like Ned Cobb, Henry Blair, Lewis Latimer, John Henry, shoemakers like John Fortin, Paul Cuff, Betty Washington Lewis, fishing and shipping industry workers like Jupiter Hammond, John Clevis, William Whipper, Crispus Attucks. Hadn't been for Crispus. Tailors like Elizabeth Keckley, James Thomas, Marietta Carter, and teachers like Betty Stockton and Booker T. Washington. Any attempt to reduce slaves to just victims of oppression fails to recognize their strength, their courage, and resiliency during a difficult time in American history. Florida students deserve to learn how slaves took advantage of whatever circumstances they were in to benefit themselves and the community of African descendants. It is disappointing, but nevertheless unsurprising that critics would reduce months of work to create Florida's first ever standalone strand of American history standards to a few isolated expressions without context, they concluded. We encourage everyone to view these robust standards for themselves. There will be a link on the fightbackmedia.com website to the state standards, so you can read all 216 pages for yourself, if you'd like to. And you can read them and you can share them with people. I think that this is super important. All right, now we're going to go ahead and play. I'm going to go ahead and while I'm talking to you, go ahead and copy this video from Twitter, and that way, while I'm talking to you, I can be sure that I'm actually going to do it. There you go. It's there and it's happening because this stuff is super important. I saw a tweet this morning from somebody I have a lot of respect for, that I can't believe that she actually looked into all of it. I think that she might have just read a tweet and basically has written off the governor without really looking into the details of what's there. Now, unfortunately, though, when you're of that stature, not my stature, but of that stature, it's tough to turn and come back. So you wonder why people say stuff and then they don't say anything else. Because when you get to a certain stature in social media and in and you know, and in this whole thing, that it's tough to turn back. It really is. And it's a shame. Because I think, and this is part of the reason that I'm doing this morning report today, is that if by any chance you're watching or listening on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, on Castbox, on Deezer, on the Alexa or the Amazon Music System, or wherever you can hear this, that you look into it. You go to the Fight Back Media website and click some of the links and look into it. And maybe that'll settle things a little bit for you. Okie dokie. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report for July 25th, 2023, in the year of our Lord. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. And for goodness sakes, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.